Today we're going to do a review of this tool here, which is a soldering tweezers from Duratool. These are the parts that you get. You get the tweezers themselves, you get some different tips, the stand with the little bit of foam and an instruction manual. So the manual is quite basic, just some safety features, what to do, how to replace the tip, etc, etc. You get a little stand, which you obviously just put this in water, and then we just pull the stand. So this bit we just push upwards like that. It's quite basic. It just sits like that. That works quite well. That there. So we'll have a look at the tips. What we get. So there should be 2 of each. So you do get a decent range. These are the smallest ones. The ones that are actually on are quite a small size. And you can adjust these by just taking a standard Phillips screw and just remove these. And you can also adjust them to make sure that they go together properly as shown. So in terms of the tips itself, as you can see, they've got an open end here, so it makes it easier to remove. All you need to do is undo the screw a little bit, take the tip off and slide it on. You don't need to remove the screw completely. So that's quite a good feature. Now I haven't actually used this yet. I haven't actually trialed it. So this is going to be an interesting thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a scrap board. We'll try a couple of the different tips and we'll see how it works. Okay, so I have an old board here. This is a pinball display board, or a dot matrix display board. It's got some surface mount ICs on it. This should be a good test to see how this performs. I think what we'll do is we'll put this under the microscope and make it just a bit easier to see. We've got C4 and C3 here. So what I think we'll do, flux on these. On one of these, I'm going to add some fresh solder, so we'll see if one of them comes off easier than the other one. There they are. As you can see, I don't know if they're going to be completely in focus, but here goes with C3. Just try and get on both sides of it. So what you saw there was pretty typical when you don't get a good fix on both sides of it. I'm probably not making it easier for myself by angling the tips, but unfortunately I have to do that for the camera to capture what's going on. There we are. Look at that. That was easy. Let's add a bit of solder to the other one. I don't know that it's strictly necessary, but let's see how long this one takes. I'm doing this on the microscope, so it's that's quite incredible actually, how easy that is. That is quite amazing. That was seconds. Now you don't always get this on a board where you have, you know, components that are so quite widely spaced out. What we'll maybe do is try taking off something in another area of the board, another capacitor, that's a bit closer together. So let's just apply some fresh solder to this. We'll put some flux on afterwards, just to help. And there we go. So this will be an interesting test. I think I think what it might work if we use a slightly wider tip on it. So I guess you could, yeah, there you go. Now it's stuck. That's the only downside there, it's stuck to there. So let's, there it goes. So I only noticed this in the edit. You might see that it's pulled one of the traces from that transistor. It's probably my fault, but hey, let's say the trace on the PCB could have been bad, or maybe there's just too much heat from the tweezers. The board's about 30 years old, so it is always a risk. Talking of heat, let's just check to see how hot these things actually get. Getting about 184. We're going to try taking off this IC here, U6. There. I think we'll put these ones on and we'll see if it's straightforward enough to get an IC off in one go. Right, so I've put the slightly larger tips on. We're going to go for this IC here. We're going to try, as you can see, that should fit nicely. So let's get this fired up and give that a go. So to give you an idea of just the size of this chip, if we just look here, so it's just under 1 centimetre, because obviously on the microscope it looks a bit bigger. Let's apply some solder to this. We're just going to do a bit of a drag solder. So this drag soldering method might not be the best in this instance, but we'll use it for the purposes of this demonstration. You might have your own preferred methods of removing ICs. Okay. And this side. Just apply a bit of flux to either side. Okay, let's try and do this. It's going to be a bit difficult because of the angle, but let's go. When I did this, I actually missed the top 2 pins, which is why the chip didn't come off the first time. But as you can see, when I actually managed to get all of the pins covered with the tip, then it comes off straight away. There we go. So yeah, that worked. Okay, so those chips came off relatively easily. You do need to get quite a firm grip around the legs to get it off. On this board, it's quite easy to do. On this board, it's much more difficult. You obviously have to put on the correct tips for the size of component you're taking off. I would say that these size of resistors and capacitors, they're probably about the limit that I would say that you would use this for, even with the smallest tip. I wouldn't probably go any smaller than that, especially if you're looking at this. See if we can focus in on that. You know, these kind of here would probably be okay, but anything smaller than that, I would say you would struggle. So my final thoughts on this, it's very light. The stand is really good, it's minimalist, it does what it needs to do. I have no complaints there. So I paid around £20 for these delivered, so they're very keenly priced. And I think given that price, it'll be interesting to see what the longevity of them is going to be. Certainly, I have no cause to be concerned, and hopefully these can last for quite a considerable period of time. In the UK, you get 1 year's warranty, which is pretty much standard. So I'd really be interested to hear what your thoughts about these things are. Do you use them? Would you buy one of these? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to click like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.